2026 is the 30th anniversary of the Pokemon franchise, which is crazy. It's already been 5 years since the 25th anniversary celebration set, which is hard to believe, but here we are. And I'm sure we're going to be getting more information on the upcoming 30th anniversary set soon. Pokemon Day is at the end of February, so maybe we'll get more information then. But in the meantime, I thought it would be a lot of fun to give my opinion on what I would want out of the 30th anniversary expansion if I were the one designing it. For Pokemon's 20th anniversary, they released 2 sets, XY Generations and XY Evolutions. Evolutions had a bunch of nostalgic artwork from base set, and the power level of the cards have been recontextualized for the X and Y era. And then for the 25th anniversary, they released the first Celebrations expansion, which contained 25 new cards that kind of referenced the game's past, and 25 classic reprints, all with a 25th anniversary stamp on them. They also had a handful of promos that they released with Celebrations that referenced mechanics from the game's past and included new Pokemon with them, though those promos weren't legal for tournament play. They were kind of just for fun. My prediction for the 30th anniversary is that they'll do 30 new cards along with 10 classic reprints and a handful of promos that kind of reinvent old mechanics as well that probably won't be legal for tournament play. In today's video, I'm showing off the 10 cards that I want to see reprinted in Pokemon's 30th anniversary set. And I think it'll be cool to take a look back at this list once the set does actually get revealed and see if I had any called shots. But before we get into it, I want to share with you all something really neat that I'm doing this Pokemon Day. As it turns out, Pokemon isn't the only business turning 30 this year. eBay is as well. And to celebrate the occasion, they are hosting a special live event this Pokemon Day, February 27th in New York City. There's going to be a ton of collecting fun and special merchandise getting auctioned off throughout the weekend. But what I'm really excited about is that eBay invited me out to participate in Saturday's live stream. There's going to be a Pokemon-themed game show style stream happening all day Saturday, the 28th, where they're going to be auctioning off Pokemon TCG products and merchandise starting at MSRP. And I'll get to participate in the game show with my own segment, which I'm a little nervous about, as trivia is not my forte, but I'll do my best. And what's really cool is that I'll also be auctioning off 3 items from my personal Pokemon journey for charity, where all of the proceeds are going to go towards the Make-A-Wish Foundation. So that's something I'm really stoked about. It should be a lot of fun. You can RSVP for the event using the link in the description below. Big thank you to eBay for inviting me out to New York City to participate. And make sure to RSVP for the event using the link in the description below. It's going to be on Trainer Court's eBay Live channel, Saturday, February 28th. First up for my wish list of reprints is Tropical Beach, the 2011 and 2012 World Championship promo card. This card is very good. It's a stadium card that allows you to fill your hand to 7 cards and end your turn while doing so. And famously, in 2011, when Tropical Beach first debuted, promo cards didn't have a release window until they became legal for play. They were legal for play upon release, and Tropical Beach was included with the World Championship competitor packages. And when Ross Cawthon got his competitor package and read Tropical Beach, he was like, wow, this would go really good in my secret deck for the World Championships, and then proceeded to get second place with the just released Tropical Beach in his World Championship deck titled The Truth. It was a crazy control lock deck that used Reuniclus to move damage counters around. It's really wild. And then Tropical Beach was reprinted in 2012, but hasn't been reprinted since. And that was a little bit of a problem for the expanded format, considering the expanded format lasted all the way up until 2020. So if players wanted to play decks that featured Tropical Beach, they had to shell out a bunch of money for them. Even when I started playing in 2012, 2013, my first deck that I fell in love with was Blastoise, which played 3 to 4 copies of Tropical Beach. I remember shelling out $550 back then for 3 copies of Tropical Beach just so I could play my Blastoise deck. That was when the card was standard legal. And Tropical Beach is kind of the reason why the Pokemon Company International doesn't print playable cards for their Worlds promos anymore. Now you've got the Psyduck card that helps your Psyduck to retreat better. Even though expanded format isn't really much of a thing anymore, if you want to hear more about expanded format, I actually just released a video on it. I'll link that in the description below. Gym Leader Challenge is more popular than ever and uses cards from the expanded card pool, and finding copies of Tropical Beach is really a problem for that format. Players will usually use World Championship versions of the card, which still go for about $30. But if you try to use those World Championship versions at official side events, at regional and international championships, you might get some judge coming by telling you that you can't play with it because it has a different back on it, even if you are playing in completely opaque sleeves. And these days, a legit copy of Tropical Beach is very difficult to find and will cost you hundreds, if not thousands of dollars. So I am very hopeful that the Pokemon Company will do the right thing and reprint Tropical Beach in the 30th anniversary expansion. And they have a couple of ways they can go about doing this. They've got the 2 artworks, of course, one from 2011, one from 2012. My preferred artwork is the 2012 variant because the Unova monkeys are awesome. So they could reprint one of those 2 artworks in the classic reprint of the set. Or they could do the craziest thing and make Tropical Beach standard legal with a new artwork and reprint it into standard, which I think would be the ultimate solution, because who wouldn't want to play with Tropical Beach in standard again? At this point in the Pokemon TCG, full art and secret art rare supporters are just part of the collecting and playing experience, but it wasn't always that way. The first ever full art supporter was N, printed nearly 15 years ago in the Noble Victories expansion. N had a huge impact on the Pokemon TCG, disrupting hands and winning games during the Black and White and X and Y blocks. It was kind of spiritually resurrected with Iono, which is getting ready to rotate out of standard format. N's predecessor is actually Rocket's Admin, which we did see reprinted in the 25th anniversary celebrations expansion. So that's actually one of my biggest hopes for the future anniversary sets, is that they don't shy away from reprinting full art or art rare cards. Those are some of the nicest cards in the game's history, and I think it would be really cool to pay homage to the first ever full art supporter by reprinting Full Art N, and then they can kind of set that precedent and give us more art rare and full art cards from the game's past in the years to come. Another awesome thing that Pokemon did during the Black and White block was that they gave this gold shiny secret rare treatment to cards that were previously released as holo rares. These weren't overly powered Pokemon EX or anything like that. These were just regular holo rare Pokemon getting a gold shiny textured treatment. It was amazing. And during that year that I played nothing but Blastoise with my very expensive Tropical Beaches, I also splurged on the gold Blastoise cards from Plasma Storm, though they only cost me $20 a pop at the time. Something they notably didn't do in the 25th anniversary set was print a dragon Pokemon. And dragon-type Pokemon were not always a part of the Pokemon TCG. They were actually introduced as a part of the 2011 Dragons Exalted expansion, and then were discontinued at the same time as Fairy Pokemon for a little while, because dragon Pokemon used to have dragon-type weakness and they had fairy-type weakness, but then when they were brought back with no weakness, which is the kind of dragon Pokemon we have today. But I think that it would be really cool for Pokemon to give us the shiny Rayquaza from Dragons Exalted, which was a secret rare card, reprinted in the 30th anniversary expansion, except they should fix it, because the first handful of shiny secret rare cards that they released in the black and white block had the really ugly yellow borders that Pokemon cards had for the longest time. But then somewhere along the line, they were like, hey, we should pretty these things up a little bit and make the borders gold. And then they started doing that for all of the shiny gold cards. But Rayquaza had the yellow border. So when they reprint it in the 30th anniversary expansion, they should make the border gold. Another mechanic they didn't highlight for the 25th anniversary that I'd like to see them showcase for the 30th anniversary set is Pokemon Legends. Pokemon Legends are basically if Pokemon V Union didn't suck. Putting 4 Pokemon cards together on your board is absolutely ridiculous. But 2 Pokemon cards combining to make 1, now that is peak. And they did it right during the Heart Gold Soul Silver block. They actually had 2 artists come together to illustrate each legend piece, which is something that they had never done before in the Pokemon TCG, and they absolutely rocked it. They could honestly reprint any of the legend cards, but I would most like to see Entei and Raikou Legend. This was a great card during its time and performed really well during the 2010 World Championship season. 2010 is one of the most popular retro formats, and these legend cards are pretty expensive these days too, so this would be a popular choice for retro enthusiasts as well. Now, the one thing about reprinting a legend card in the Celebrations expansion would be, where do you put the Celebration stamp? Surely you don't put the stamp on both cards. That would just look ridiculous. So one of the cards is going to have to not have a stamp on it, and hopefully the Pokemon Company is flexible enough to understand that and be okay with that. Speaking of the Celebration stamps, the Japanese stamps look a lot cooler. I'm actually a bigger fan of how they do things over there with the nice little square and, you know, just the year on it instead of like the whole Pikachu head thing. It looks very Disney to me, honestly. It reminds me of like the Disney Mickey Mouse logo, the way that they've done the 25th and 30th anniversary logos. I much prefer the way they're doing things over in Japan. But POW hand extension. This card needs to be reprinted. It's like $30 to $40. It's one of the most dominant trainer cards from the EX era, the original EX era, 2004 to like 2007, which is generally considered to be one of the best eras to revisit in the Pokemon TCG's history. It's also a Rocket secret machine, so you kind of got that flavor wrapped in there as well. It's like a counter catcher and an Ennaporter. It's a great comeback card, allowing you to bring up one of your opponent's Pokemon to the active spot or move an energy off your opponent's Pokemon to another Pokemon if you are behind on prizes. A lot of people, myself included, consider the 2006 World Championship format or the block format, Ruby and Sapphire to Power Keepers, to be one of the best formats, if not the best format that the Pokemon TCG has ever had. But the major issue with it is that it's just extremely expensive, like prohibitively so. And since it's such a highly regarded format in the Pokemon TCG, with retro events being held all over the world featuring these old nostalgic cards, I think that Pokemon should be doing everything that they can to try and support the love that the fan base has for these retro formats, and that means making older playable cards like POW Hand Extension more affordable by reprinting them. Not only would this be a great reprint for all the retro heads out there, but it's also a Rocket secret machine, so you've got that Team Rocket flavor wrapped in there as well. And I would like to see Team Rocket represented with at least one card in the 30th anniversary set, though I do know that they were very much represented in the 25th anniversary set, so I don't feel like they need too much more than this. While we're on the topic of Evil Team's trainer cards, I'm voting that we reprint Hypnotoxic Laser. This card won so many events, world championships, national championships, regional championships. It got paired with everything from Darkrai EX to Yveltal EX to Seismitoad EX, keeping Pokemon asleep and poisoning them, and no doubt infuriating players for the years that it was legal. The Team Plasma sets were, I think, the last villain mechanic that was done correctly. They actually had enough room to breathe and enough room to build on. There were 3 sets. You had Plasma Storm, Plasma Freeze, and Plasma Blast. I mean, compare that with Team Rocket, which just got half of one set with Destined Rivals, and they couldn't even be bothered to name the set after Team Rocket. That's how diluted it was, right? But back in the black and white block, Plasma had 3 sets that all featured Team Plasma cards, and they had these really striking blue borders, though of course the Pokemon Company International did kind of botch up our English release of these cards because the holographic cards didn't get holographic borders here in the US or internationally like they did in Japan. And the holo cards from Japan's black and white sets look incredible. Now, TPCI did go back and fix this with the Black Bolt and White Flare sets. We got those really nice looking holo borders, and my hope is that they could reprint some cards from the original black and white sets, like Hypnotoxic Laser. And Hypnotoxic Laser wasn't actually a holo card back then, but they could make it a holo rare for the 30th anniversary set and give it that really cool, striking blue holo border, something that we've never gotten internationally before. While we're here, I know we got to show the Diamond and Pearl block some love. They did get a lot of representation in the 25th anniversary expansion. They got Claydol, Luxray Level X, and Garchomp Level X. I mean, those are 3 of the best cards from the whole Diamond and Pearl block. However, no Diamond and Pearl legendaries were represented in the 25th anniversary celebrations set. So I'm saying we reprint Uxie Level X. This card levels up from Uxie with the setup Pokepower, one of the strongest Pokepowers ever printed in the history of the game. Allows you to fill your hand to 7 cards when you play it from your hand to the bench. And then Uxie Level X has the trade-off Pokemon power, which is basically Dracloak's Recon Directive. Look at the top 2, take 1, put the other one on the bottom of your deck. Just a really strong Pokemon card. It's really neat that you could turn your bench-sitting setup Pokemon whose Pokemon power you've already used into a stable board presence with Uxie Level X. And this card is finally getting over $100 now, so it'd be a good time to reprint it. Prime Pokemon are favorites of many Pokemon TCG fans, but it's kind of a funny mechanic in that it's not really a mechanic at all. Pokemon Prime are just regular holographic cards with spiky borders around the artwork. That's it. There's no special Prime Pokemon rule. They don't give up multiple prizes or anything like that. They're just strong. A lot of the artwork is kind of close up, and they have a spiky border. In the 25th anniversary set, we got Donphan Prime. I'm saying we should get Magnezone Prime, printed in the 30th anniversary set. This card won the 2011 World Championships in the hands of David Cohen with his Magnabor deck, Magnezone Prime and Emboar. Emboar just got a spiritual reprint in the White Flare set. Magnezone Prime was the best card in this World Championship winning strategy, though. It's got the Magnetic Draw Pokepower, which allows you to fill your hand to 6 once a turn, and the insanely powerful Lost Burn attack, which allows you to send as many energy from your side of the board to the Lost Zone as you'd like, and it does 50 damage times the amount of energy a Lost Zone. Not only is this card super good and won a World Championship, but it also incorporates the Lost Zone, which is another mechanic that has been recurring throughout the Pokemon TCG's history. The Pokemon Company International didn't print the very first cards in the Pokemon TCG. It was actually Wizards of the Coast, the company that makes Magic the Gathering, that is now owned by Hasbro. They had the license to print English Pokemon cards when the game first debuted in the United States. And I think it would be really cool for the Pokemon Company International to go back and fix one of Wizards' biggest screw-ups, and that is the translation of Slowking from Neo Genesis. Slowking from Neo Genesis ended up being the most broken card in the format when it came out because its Pokemon Power Mind Games was mistranslated. Mind Games, as it's originally printed, makes it so that every time your opponent plays a trainer card, you get to flip a coin, and if heads, your opponent doesn't get to play that trainer card, and it actually goes back on top of their deck. That's not just item cards or stadium cards or supporter cards. That's all trainer cards, all of them. That's not how the card is supposed to work. Mind Games is only supposed to work while Slowking is in the active spot, which completely changes the dynamic of this card because its attack isn't very good. And Wizards of the Coast never issued an errata or correction for this card, so they just played it as it read. And consequently, Slowking was one of the most dominant cards during this time. In the 25th anniversary celebrations, Pokemon reprinted the original Blastoise, Venusaur, and Charizard. But neither of those three cards are actually very good when it comes to the history of the Pokemon TCG. They weren't like the dominant strategies to come out of the first couple of sets. The original best decks in the Pokemon TCG were these low-to-the-ground beat stick strategies that people called Haymaker. They played Electabuzz, Hitmonchan, and Scyther, and I think that they should reprint Scyther from Jungle in the 30th anniversary celebration set. Scyther was ubiquitous in the early days of the Pokemon TCG. Almost every deck played it because it's just that good. It's a 70 hit point basic Pokemon with free retreat, so you could always pivot in and out of it. And its attack costs 3 colorless energy, so you could power it up with double colorless energy or any type of energy that your deck was playing. It could absorb hits, help you buy time while your hand was being disrupted. It's just a really good card, and it's starting to get a little pricey. These early Pokemon TCG formats, like before Neo Genesis, are actually pretty affordable because of the virality of the Pokemon franchise at that time. These cards were just printed in such high volumes that they're not as expensive as some of the other cards from like the original EX era or the Diamond and Pearl era. And that makes those early sets a great entry point for a lot of people looking to explore the history of the Pokemon TCG by building retro decks. Including Scyther in the 30th anniversary set would help bring a lot of interest to that base to fossil time period, which is actually a really fun format to play in the Pokemon TCG. Full Grip Games is hosting a base to fossil retro tournament on March 7th, which I'm going to be streaming here on YouTube and on Twitch. So if you want to see more of the base to fossil format, tune in on March 7th. Originally, I wanted this to be a 10-card list, but then I accidentally recorded 11 segments. So this is actually the last card of the list, number 11. It's a bonus card, because I can't count. We could certainly go the Gold Star route. Umbreon Gold Star was my favorite card printed in the 25th anniversary expansion. I have it in both English and Japanese. But honestly, the Gold Stars are such awesome collector pieces that I almost don't want the Pokemon Company to wear them out by reprinting them every 5 years. Like, they could give Gold Stars a break, and I think that that would be okay. I do think that it was really awesome that they brought Fukada back to do the Greninja Gold Star promo. I think it would be cool if they did that again. Like, that's fine since you're not actually reprinting a Gold Star. Though there are a few Gold Stars that are very good in the early EX formats, like RSPK 2006, like Mew Gold Star and Latias Gold Star would certainly be very good and healthy reprints for those retro communities. So if they reprinted either of those cards, I'd be ecstatic. Even the World Championship versions of those cards are very expensive these days. I haven't included anything from the X and Y or Sun and Moon blocks yet, and that's because they're just not that old, and if I'm only asking for 10 cards to get reprinted, I'd rather them be older cards that are harder to obtain. That being said, I think they should do something to highlight the more recent Pokemon expansions, so my vote goes to Tag Team Pokemon GX, specifically Mewtwo and Mew Tag Team GX. This is a World Championship winning strategy. The 2019 World Champion Henry Brand played as Mewtwo and Mew, Tag Team GX deck to a world title. It's just an incredible artwork as well, something that any collector could appreciate. I think Arita did an amazing job with the tag team Pokemon. Arita was commissioned to do the base artwork for all of the tag team Pokemon. Tag team Pokemon were the game's first 3 prize Pokemon mechanic, and they weren't highlighted in the 25th anniversary expansion, maybe because it hadn't really been long enough yet, but now 5 years later, I think it would be a great time to shine a light on just how awesome and impactful these tag team Pokemon were when they debuted in Team Up. So that's my wish list of the 10 cards that I want to see reprinted in the 30th anniversary expansion. And it's okay, Pokemon Company, if you don't get to all 10 of these cards for the 30th anniversary celebration. I'm a patient man. I'll wait till the 35th if I have to. Now, as far as the non-tournament legal promos go, where they kind of like do a new Pokemon with an old gimmick, I'm hoping that they give us a new Pokemon BREAK. It would be amazing to get a new Pokemon with the gold Pokemon BREAK treatment. I know a lot of people think that the Pokemon BREAK are ugly. Those people are wrong. Pokemon BREAK are glorious. You've got like the crazy disco looking holo pattern with like the gold gaudy Pokemon with a 3D render. I mean, they're just so sick. There's nothing else in the Pokemon TCG like Pokemon BREAK. So I would love to see Pokemon BREAK highlighted in some kind of way with the 30th anniversary expansion. That would be the last thing on my wish list. But anyways, thank you so much for watching. Let me know in the comments below what cards and mechanics you want to see represented in our 30th anniversary celebrations expansion. Y'all have a great day. See ya.